Gamers come in all ages and sizes, from babies playing on their first Fisher-Price controller, to OGs who have all 5 PlayStation consoles on their shelf. Except for mobile gaming, which doesn't count, and isn't real. No, I'm not sorry. I don't know if you know this, but gaming has been around for a few decades, centuries even. The first console goes way back to the days of dinosaurs. It's true, I saw it on the internet. Crazy stuff. So needless to say, most of us have seen certain games or franchises rise and fall. Fortnite isn't the only game out there, sonny. Back in my day, we didn't have autosave and the internet to help us with guides. I apologize for that. When we got stuck on a game, you had to pray to God that at school there was a kid who had played and finished said game, or go to the local and hope that one of the gaming magazines there had the guide to it. I remember getting my PlayStation 1, which was a gift from my mother. If you're watching, Mom, thanks again. My eyes widening as, holy shit, this plays a disc? No cartridge? My mind was blown, my dude. Then my mom stretched out her arm to me saying, oh, by the way, the guy at the shop said you'll need this to save games, while handing me a memory card. You remember those? My mind was about to be blown twice in the span of 5 minutes. Excuse me? I said. What do you mean I can save games? My mom then going on to explain to me that with this memory stick you could now save a game from almost any point. It was the 90s, guys. And then boot up the console and start from there. I don't know if I have anyone from the Sega Genesis days watching this, but they'll know that back in those days, or you finished the game in one sitting, or you didn't finish the game at all. As once you switched off that console, you would have to start from the beginning again. Now granted, some games had cheats to level skip or get to certain levels, but then I will point you to what I previously said. You had to have known someone who knew those codes or get it from a gamer magazine. Special note, look up X-Men 2 Clone Wars. God, I love that game. So suffice to say, we've been through a lot of games. So I thought I would share some games that I would really like for them to bring back. I'll be making the argument that most of these should be remade. Dino Crisis. Now I'm going to be honest. I didn't play the first one, but I did play the shit out of the second one. And oh boy. This was the era when Resident Evil had just come out and was all the craze. So Capcom thought, you know what would be really cool? Take this format and substitute the zombies for dinosaurs. And now you can walk and shoot at the same time. Mind blown again. Please remember that this was the 90s. Now Dino Crisis 1 was more on the horror side, while its sequel went full Rambo. Where Dino 1 was more Jurassic Park, but you get a gun, Dino 2 jumped the shark a little and went balls to the wall with Rambo in the jungle, but with time travel. Dino Crisis 3 doesn't exist. No, you're wrong, there's only 2. No, that game, what you're thinking, was a knockoff, it's propaganda, and I won't hear any more of it. I think it's safe to say that most people will remember Dino Crisis because if you're an OG Resident Evil fan, you've played it, or at least know of it. And with Capcom's Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 remakes being fire, well, Resident Evil 3 was a little more disappointing, let's be honest, but I'm referring to that it's a good game in general. I think there's a redemption arc, Capcom, with the Dino franchise. Remake 1 and 2 with the same love you did Resident Evil 2, and when that money starts printing itself, you do the unthinkable, and announce Dino Crisis 3, a new game that retcons that other game that definitely doesn't exist. This should be top priority, Capcom, and if this doesn't get announced soon, expect a very wordy tweet from me. Future Cop LAPD. Now, if no one here knows about this game, I won't blame you. This is a personal preference, because I played this non-stop when I got it. So let me set the scene. You're a cop. You with me so far? Okay, good. And you drive a mech robot that can transform from a car to a robot mech with a minigun and missiles, where you spend the day blowing up gangs, mutants, and cultists. And this is only on the start of your shift. Before every mission, you get to choose your loadout. So, minigun, lasers, a fucking electric gun, you're spoiled for choice here. The music, awesome. The gameplay, awesome. The feeling of gunning down coked up baddies, awesome. You could play this with a buddy as well, so think about the possibilities when it comes to multiplayer. Having 2 mechs running around LA, serving up bullet-filled justice. But the mode that I was fondest of was called Precinct Assault. Just let me show you what I mean.
This is Precinct Assault. You begin inside your base. You know where the action button is, right? You'll need it. Each base has a hover tank generator. Action button. Hover tanks will seek out the enemy base. When one of your hover tanks enters the enemy base, you win. Sounds simple? I don't think so!
This was during the years when EA actually made good games. Now, during the years, EA and my relationship has gone through some troubling times. For every decent game they put out now, they release 10 broken ones. However, this game, I believe, if done right, by a dev team that understands, and if they played it the original, even better, could put out a really good game. Unfortunately, EA is on the mindset of, if a game doesn't bring in FIFA amounts of money, then it's not worth doing. Let's not forget when they said single player games were dead. This game doesn't need $10 million to be made. Set a reasonable budget. Let them take their time and sell it for $40. And I honestly think you'll have a cult classic on your hand. There's a market for mech games, make it for them. But mostly for me, you motherfucker! Medal of Honor Frontline Assault. Now I'm going to get a bit serious here. I believe that most OG gamers have that one game that they loved and played to death when they were a kid. If a genie would be able to grant you 3 wishes, I bet one of them would be to go back to that time and play and experience it for the first time again. Medal of Honor Frontline Assault is that game for me. I love this game. When I was sleeping, I was dreaming about it. I love shooters. I love World War history, so you can imagine that my favorite genre of shooters are World War II shooters. This game came out 4 years after Saving Private Ryan. I remember seeing that movie in cinemas for the first time, and I was blown away by that beach scene. That movie cemented my love for World War history, and this game was the cherry on top of my cemented love, which doesn't sound very appetizing, but words are difficult, okay? Another EA game that was done right. This game had everything. The motivating speech at the beginning. The soundtrack was amazing. The graphics and gameplay were years ahead of its time for a PlayStation 2 game. And like Saving Private Ryan, it started with the D-Day invasion of Normandy. My eyes were glued to that screen, soaking up every second of this Allied assault. 1 minute, you're on the beach, giving covering fire so your squad can move up to the sandwall, to running through the Dutch farms and having to defend yourself on top of a windmill with a Springfield sniper rifle, to ending up going house to house in a small Dutch town, clearing up the Germans you find and hiding behind wooden fences as you hear nearby Germans bark orders. After all these years, I still have fond memories of this game. Now granted, I might have my nostalgia goggles on, but this game doesn't even need a remake, as a remaster would do just fine. It pains me to see how Medal of Honor fell from grace, as the last game that I'm aware of was for the PlayStation 3 in 2012, called Warfighter. Now it's obvious that Call of Duty had something to do with this. Medal of Honor fell into the trap of, instead of making their games stand out and be different, to trying and copying Call of Duty. And that's a mistake a lot of shooters are making these days. Don't try to be COD. We have COD. We don't need another one. Be different. I'm looking at you, Battlefield 2042. But getting back on point, a remaster of this game, with the button layout modernized, for $40 could be that pushing point to get people to love Medal of Honor again. A man can always dream. Well, I'm going to leave it at that, Trophy Hunters. Thanks for watching, and I hope I've jolted fond memories of your OG gaming days. What games would you like to see? Leave a comment and let's discuss. While you're at it, hit that like button, show how OG you are by subscribing to the channel, it would mean the world to me. If you want to talk on Twitter, my link is in the description at Trophy Review. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time.
Give it to me! Give it to me! Give it to me! Give it to me! Just give it! Damn!